I'm ready.
Recording.
Let's see how this goes. Last week I actually got an intro on the first try.
You did.
It was good. I was
All
impressed.
right.
Let's do this. I want to go to bed.
I'll try my best. Okay. So, Sophie, I'm going to count down 3, 2, 1, then just hit record then. 3, 2, 1, record. What's up, guys? We're back with another episode of the You Discuss podcast. Today, we're on episode 10. We're going to hop into first day of classes, everything involving school. It's going to be a little more calm this time after the drinking, drugs, and partying with Ryan Colleen last time. This time, we're joined by another one of our good friends. Sophie, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, guys. I'm Sophie Worrall. I met Claudia, Jay, and Ross first year, freshman year. Ross and I actually went to the same high school, so we knew each other from high school. And I am a 5th grade special ed teacher right now.
Okay, so we're just going to hop right into things, and I'm going to pass off to Claudia, and she's going to break down what you should expect on the first day. Claudia?
If there's one thing that you can guarantee is going to happen your first day of classes, it's uncomfortable icebreakers the first minute. Every professor and TA thinks it's like the best way to have you like introduce yourself and get to know the class, but it just makes everything more awkward. And it's always a weird game or something like that. So just be prepared. That's the first thing that's going to happen. Did you guys have weird icebreakers, or am I the only one?
No, I don't remember what class or what year, but I had to play like egg, bird, dinosaur or something. And
What?
you had to, basically it was rock, paper, scissors, but like instead of rock, paper, scissors, it was like you'd have to act out what you were. So like you started off as an egg, so like you had to walk around like in an egg shape, play rock, paper, scissors against another egg to become a bird, and then 2 birds would play and you become a dinosaur. And if you lost, you had to answer a question that the other person asked you, and then you get demoted one. I don't know why that was a thing. We played it for an entire class, like a full 50 minutes. I don't really think it accomplished anything. I don't remember anyone.
They'll pretty much make up names for anything these days. Like, I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I don't
Never
know.
heard of that one.
Sometimes.
I've done the link game.
Sometimes.
The link game where like you say something about yourself,
go
and
ahead.
then if somebody in common has something that same thing in common, you go and like link arms, and then that person says something, and then you just create a whole link for the whole class.
You have to touch people?
Yeah. Before COVID, you can touch people.
That's pretty foreign these days, but yes.
Yeah. I don't know how I don't know
You'd
how
be
I
like,
feel
I'm from
about
New
that.
Jersey, and then someone else from New Jersey will run over and like link arms with you.
What if you had no one to
Like,
link
I have
with?
an older brother. Well,
That
then you
sucks.
say something again. you try. That's the whole point, is to try to find things in common.
Gotcha.
That is oddly intimate for an icebreaker. Like, it's not like, hi, I'm Claudia. Like, it's, oh, I'm going to come, like, wrap my arms around you. Like, that's a little uncomfortable.
Well, it gets intense. Like, you run as fast as you can to link, because you don't want to say, like, you don't want to be the last one, because then you look like you're odd.
How terrifying would it be to have, like, 3 people just like, oh, yeah, I'm from New
Right.
Jersey, too, sprinting full speed at you. Like, who are these people?
It's intense.
That's funny. Yeah, I never had any weird ones. I know our floor had to do icebreakers. Like, our RA brought us to one of the classrooms, and we had to play, like, 2 truths and a lie, something like that. We didn't know each other, so they were all like, I'm from New York, and I have a dog. Like, nothing. It was so uncomfortable. You didn't actually learn anything about anybody.
One I remember, like, specifically, I don't know why, is just that, like, when we were, like, meeting with our floor, it was just like the picnic game. Like, you had to like say something that starts with the same letter as your name. Like, I'm like Ross, and I would bring raspberries or something like that. Like, it was so stupid.
That's kind of cute, though. I mean,
I don't know why.
like
I don't
those.
know. I like, for me, icebreakers during, I don't know. It was just, I guess smaller classes, like, fine, but I guess that's how you make relationships in your class. But I don't know. I didn't know. I didn't want to do them. Like, I had to fill out forms. For one of my engineering classes, we had to fill out like forms and then guess and like point at someone in the room and see who we thought that person was, like based on what they wrote down. I'm like, this
That
is
is
terrible. I'm like, that's a bad
that's
idea.
a dangerous game.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know.
Also, very presumptuous about people. Like, Jesus.
Right. Right. I don't know. But
I mean, I
think,
guess it is a good way to kind of like see who's in your class and get a sense for what kind of people are going to be in your major, because a lot of times the classes that you take freshman year are going to be people who follow you through a lot of your other classes unless you change majors. But like, I remember kids who were in my first ever class who like were in my final like internship classes and stuff. So interesting.
Yeah, people will totally make a first impression of themselves sometimes and be like, I'm gonna remember you, and then you see them and remember them. But you do remember the name. The awkwardness brings you together. So.
For good or for
does.
bad.
It really does. It really does. Yeah, I think like by the time, like after, I mean, I switched sophomore year, so like I feel like going to junior year when like I started taking like my core like geology classes, like if there was.
Okay, I'm gonna go with. It's also important to introduce yourself to professors because then it's just good. That's the
Go
direction
for
I'm
it.
gonna go.
Cool.
Okay.
All right, another very important piece of like first day advice, I think, and I feel like everyone hears this going to college, is introduce yourself to your professor on the first day. And I always thought that was really cliche, but like it actually does help. Like when you have issues with assignments or you have test questions or anything, like if you have a good relationship or your professor at least knows your face and your name, it makes it a lot easier. Like I definitely didn't do that freshman year, but I got better with it as I had smaller groups. I don't know. I feel like that's just an important thing to do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry. I was gonna say those professors also can be a reference for you to write recommendation letters for jobs and stuff. So it is important to know, have a good relationship with them, and them to know who you are truly, so they can write you a solid letter.
Yeah, I was just gonna say same thing as Claudio. Like I didn't do it necessarily as early on, but I think you gain a little more confidence as you go on. You want help from professors, and you just want to go see them and get recommendations from them and help from them, everything you can.
I also think like, I mean, for me, like some professors that I like had, like maybe sophomore year, I had again. Like I had one professor for literally 5 different classes that I took. So like making a relationship like early on, you never know if you're going to run paths again. And like if you take another class with that same professor, they're going to recognize your face when you walk in, and you basically already have that connection made with your professor before you even started the class, which was really nice.
Yeah. Well, and another good reason to be friends with professors and advisors and everything is they have been doing this for so long, and they know every single situation students can be in. So if you have questions about switching majors or staying in certain classes, like you can always turn to those contacts that you've made and chat with them about whatever issues you might have. So good to keep those connections.
When I was thinking about switching into geology, one of the things I did was go out and email my, I guess, future advisor that I didn't know was going to be my advisor at the time. But she basically had no idea who I was. I kind of just emailed saying, hey, like I'm thinking about switching into this major. Like, could you help me out? And like literally within a day, she sent me like this whole long thing about how to graduate on time, like what jobs I can get after school, and like where like our building is and who to meet, who to talk to. So like it's really helpful if you just go out and talk to people, especially because like I was switching and I wasn't sure like what I was going to switch into. So it was kind of nice to have like a background of what was going to happen before I was switching into a new major.
Yeah. And I even have professors that like sometimes, like I have them on LinkedIn or something, and I can always turn to them if I have questions. I even met with one of my professors post-graduation to talk about jobs and everything. So like if you have these connections, it's not just for college, like those can last you a while.
And that's why going back to episode 2 of choosing your major, it's always good to go and rate my professor and try to find those perfect ones.
Yes,
The ones that
definitely.
Claudia does not give shit reviews.
Exactly.
Well, if they deserve it, they deserve it. That's on them.
Oh my god. Okay, so moving on. I find this section funny, and I know Claudia wrote it because Ross and I are very similar.
I wrote
What it
everything on here.
says. Wait, did you really?
I didn't write this section,
Oh
Jalen.
wow! I really thought Claudia did. Ross, why'd you write this? Why?
Go on.
So what it says is how early to wake up. It says give yourself plenty of time to get ready for the first day, or honestly, any day, in that matter. I'm going to let someone else answer this.
Jalen, really, you came for me with that.
I really did. Honestly, I think Sophie, you have a very good idea of how to do this because you had to do your student teaching when you were up at ungodly. I mean, it's probably normal hours for other people, but not for me.
Not in college, normal
Yeah.
hours. Well, I kind of just think you know yourself and you know how long it takes to get ready. It takes me forever to get ready, so I know I have to plan out at least like an hour or so. If you're like someone else who lived in my house, you need 10 minutes to get ready. So you just know yourself. So trust yourself. I always kind of plan out my day, whether if it was for classes, I would walk where I'm going beforehand so I know where I'm going so I don't get lost to save myself time. Or in that case with student teaching, like you were saying, Jay, I kind of drove down first, made sure I knew where my school was, got myself comfortable with it. So in case anything happened on the first day, I don't freak out like, oh no, where am I supposed to be? I'm late, and just in that whole rush mess because I don't like to stress myself out if I can help it.
Yeah, and someone like me, I like to make sure I have plenty of time in the morning because I take forever to get up, and I like to shower in the morning every single day. So honestly, it's probably somewhere around an hour for me too. And since I was taking the bus to class like every single day, you have to make sure you give yourself at least 10 minutes to find the right bus because there's going to be a huge line when you're waiting. And then it takes about 15 minutes from wherever you are on the bus to get to the class. It's a mess. So
Go, Sophie.
Oh, I was gonna say I was just coming back around. You know your personality too, whether you're somebody who cares if people look at you if you walk in late, or if you're like, I don't care when you walk in late, then that's fine. But I was somebody who was like, do not look at me. So if I'm early, I'm on time. If I'm on time, I'm late. But that's not everybody's mindset. So
yeah.
Well,
so
and it's funny, like first day of classes freshman year, it was like, get up early, be there 15 minutes early, iced coffee, outfit, be ready to go. By the time it rolled around to senior year, I was like, God damn it, we got class in 10 minutes. Like, put on sweatpants and go. Like, I was never late, but like, we pushed it sometimes. Or you'd show up with an iced coffee being like, I'm so sorry, there was traffic. Like,
yeah, I was going to say, I definitely am more of the wait until the very last minute, throw on the same hoodie I've been wearing for a week and sweatpants, and stroll into class. I was usually on time most of the time. I think
seemed hesitant.
it was. I showed up. It was just I was usually on time.
Depending,
right. I think during COVID, it was bad. Like if I had class at 11, my alarm would be set for 10:58, and I'd just roll over, put myself on Zoom. That was the life. But
I remember multiple times of Jay being at my house during COVID, and I would be in our class, or I would be logging onto classes, and he would just not. I'm like, Jay, you might as well just sit here with me. And it's like, nah, like, it just didn't make any sense to me.
Just for reference, we were there our last semester when COVID had just started, so we experienced a little bit of it towards the end of our college careers.
Yeah, I liked it. I think I liked it, the idea of it when it first, like, when they first decided to go like fully virtual. I was like, oh, this is going to be amazing. Like, this is so great. But then like actually doing it like was awful. Like I never thought I'd miss like walking to class and going and being an in-person class. But like, I don't know, virtual class was just like not it at all. I didn't like it. It was bad.
I didn't mind it. It was easy.
You knew that? Yeah.
I always just took it upon myself.
Yeah, before the first day of class, they offer tours to walk around campus so you know where your classes are. Maybe I should like cut back in and then say that instead of saying it to the people who graduated. Ready? Another good thing that I don't know if it's like the university does it or RAs, I don't know who it is, but they'll tour campus with you before like the first day of classes. I think it's on a Monday because classes usually start on Tuesdays. So the day before, you'll just like walk around campus to find out where all the buildings are. Because it's kind of nice that all the buildings at UD, like most of them are all in one central area, especially if you're like taking just general classes. They're just the main buildings that you kind of just get to know. But I remember my first year, the first class that I had was EGGG, and it was in the Trabant multipurpose room. And I had absolutely no idea like where that was. I think it said TMPR like on my schedule, and I was like, I don't know where I'm going. So I kind of just walked to Trabant and then just hung out there for a little bit. And I was like, where's everyone going? So I went and I actually sat in the theater downstairs thinking it was my class. It was not. But I think it's just good to try to figure out, kind of like what Sophie said, like make sure you know where you're going and don't wait till the very last minute. Because if you do that, you'll end up in the theater instead of an engineering class.
Yeah, don't be that kid who comes running in late to your
it's
first
so
class,
funny,
like,
though.
oh my god, I'm lost, I didn't know where I was going, and having the professor just stare at you. Like,
Yeah, just know you're going to get judged hard.
Yeah, my
Yes,
favorite is like when
yes.
it happened, like I think it was like my fall senior year and someone did that. And I'm
Oh
like,
yeah.
you've
Oh,
been
yeah.
here for 4 years. Like,
And it'd also be like Smith. Like,
Right.
you've been here 100 times. Like,
it's like, why
Well,
are you?
no, it depends on your major too. I never used Smith ever. I as an education major, I never was in that building. So per your major too, you're gonna then be in certain buildings and you kind of
That's-
get used to
yeah.
them.
that's true.
So if you
I-
do get used to them and you have a random building that you have no idea what it is.
Yeah,
Even senior year, I was like, I should probably figure that out.
I've never had a class in Smith either. Actually, now that you say it,
Oh, I had a lot.
I had multiple. Yeah.
I took exams in there, and that was about it.
Yeah.
I never had a class in there.
Fun time.
Speaking of classes, I don't know why I post like that. We're gonna. I'm sorry. Like it
I had
bothers
a
me.
better transition too. You
This is the
stole
biggest
it from
disaster
me.
so
All
far.
right, go for it, Claudia. Go for it.
So arguably more important than getting to class is what you're supposed to bring to class, because the number one most popular item that you have to have everywhere is a clicker. And this thing was the bane of my existence. I hated it. I had it with me all the time, and I was always terrified that I was going to forget it, especially in AFRA, and lose points, not be able to do my quiz. Like,
Why don't you just keep it in your bag?
well, I would, but then I'd clean my bag out and I just assume that I forget it. It could sit there for months
As
and I
one
would
does.
assume I didn't have it. Like,
I hated
Or
that
that the
thing.
batteries died.
Oh,
My batteries
you-
never died over
Mine
4
never
years,
died.
which
Really?
is insane.
I
I don't
remember.
think they ever died, but it's just that nerve
Oh,
wracking
and
feeling.
it flashes. It like does like you turn it on. It does like the battery flashing thing. And I'm like, hopefully I can get through attendance with this because they're really important. I had one class, like my dynamics class, like your clicker. I don't know if we did attendance or questions. I don't remember, but it literally counted as an exam grade. Was just the clicker. So it was like
annoying.
we had 2 exams and then a clicker exam. So like.
that gives me anxiety.
Right. So I'm like, you like literally needed to go to class because one of your exams is based just off of you being there, which is a lot. I think it's kind of ridiculous, but that's just me.
Well,
But yeah.
so if anyone doesn't know what a clicker is, it's just, it looks like a remote control. It has A,
That would
B,
help.
C, D, and E. I think maybe it doesn't have E. I don't even know. But it
Yeah, we're
just,
trying. We're trying.
it's like a multiple choice question. You press for attendance a lot of times. Professors say press any button just to make sure your number gets registered to the system so they know you were there. It's interesting device, but it actually works. It counts how many kids are there and just helps professors kind of get an idea. But it's like a little remote control. It's like tiny little rectangle thing that you bring with you, but it's
Do you guys still have yours?
yes.
Somewhere in my room.
I could literally
I think-
grab mine right now.
I think I can grab mine. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I have no
Me
use
neither.
for it,
Yeah.
but I've grown so attached to it because I'm so terrified of
Yeah.
losing it that now I can't get rid of it.
I've been trying. Actually, I may have sold mine on eBay. I was trying to sell it because I was like, I'm never gonna use this again.
Yeah.
If you have
Yeah,
my clicker,
might as well.
awesome job.
I do have my clicker. That was the
Yeah.
I lost my clicker also. That was upsetting because they're not
Do you-
cheap. It was like
do you
50 bucks
remember-
or something.
I thought it was like
The-
10.
I
No,
had to
they're
buy a new.
expensive.
They're expensive.
I bought it. I bought it for like.
You
50
can
bucks.
rent them though. You can rent them like textbooks. I do know that.
Yeah.
Something I would not purchase is the cover. I feel like the cover was nothing. You really don't need that cover. They're
There were
pretty sustainable.
Covers for the
Those
iClicker?
things are like Nokias. They will not die. Like
Yes, they make covers.
you cannot destroy them.
Huh. I didn't even know that.
Unless you want that extra purchase, you don't need to spend that extra money.
But do you guys remember all the debacles that people would get in of drop off your clicker here so I can register to my account so I can get points because I don't have a clicker. I lost this, like giving it to friends to take to class. That is one fun tip, is if you have a friend who's going to class and it's only for attendance, give them your clicker and they'll count you in for attendance. And Jay's nodding emphatically because it looks like he did that a lot.
Dude, shout out to Abby, because there was one day freshman year where she literally took 8 clickers from our floor to class and registered all of us. I don't know how she did it. I have no idea how. She took all 8 of our clickers. All of us stayed and slept in, and then she went to class and logged us all in.
Yeah, so obviously in a smaller class, it's going to be a little more difficult to try to do that, pull that off. But when you're in a giant lecture hall with like 200-300 people or whatever in Smith, then it'll probably be easy to get a bunch of friends' clickers and manage that.
We don't condone that, by the way. We're just saying.
But
I never did it, but
if
we
the
kinda
idea
did.
came up,
If you have like, something that may come up that you can't go to class, of course.
Well,
I
each
also know professors who like you could be like sick as hell and they would be like, well, you should come to class. And it's like in that situation, like, use the system to your advantage. That's all I'll say.
Well, I was just gonna say like how that works too. It sounds like, well, how would that work? Because you're the only one holding it. Each clicker has its own number that's registered to your student ID number. So if you give it to a friend, it doesn't matter if your friend's there. It's just the number. So technically, it doesn't. The professors aren't going to count the bodies,
Right.
200 people, but they just get an estimate, and they're like, "Oh, it sounds good."
I remember the day that there was a bomb threat at Gilby and Russell. I emailed my professor and said, "Hey, I'm locked down in my dorm," and he said, "Come to the later class so you get your clicker points." And I was like, "Dude," it's like, you're kidding, right? Like, I might not
It's a
be able to
bomb
make.
threat,
Yeah, right.
like,
I might not.
I might not be
able
there one way or the
to-
other.
Right. I'm not
Oh, that's
worried
dark.
about the freaking class. God, that day. Shout out to the engineers.
I don't love it.
Yeah, we talked about that in a previous episode. We do not need to revisit the traumatic day.
Yeah. Another important, I'll say important to some, is computers, laptops. The only thing with that is that not every professor will allow you to use one. I never used my laptop to take notes or anything. I don't like using my laptop. You guys know my obsession with pencils, like pencil and paper.
He's weirdly addicted. It's very odd.
I like my pencils. I don't like using the laptop. I hate the clicking that I hear from like the other 199 people using their computers, but it's a much better option. I know that, and I can't write fast, but I also can't type fast either. But people like taking notes on their computer, but a lot of professors don't like that. I think it's because they think you're doing other things on your laptop. But no, they probably
Which
know
many
that you're
people
doing
are.
right. I was gonna say they probably know that you're doing other things on your laptop besides actually taking notes. They probably will say that like right off the bat that you can't use your laptop. I also had a professor that said you can't use your laptop, and then everyone used their laptop. So
I mean, I used my laptop in some classes. There are also some classes that you just don't need to be there, or it's like a project or something. So like a lot of times I'd bring my laptop and I'd like do work for that class, or I'd study for that class or something, because like it's a good time to do it if you don't actually have to pay attention. Again, we don't recommend not paying attention, but sometimes it just happens. And
Yeah, and
sometimes you buy concert tickets the whole time. So
a lot of times, at least in my opinion, I think using a laptop is like a lot easier, but it depends on knowing yourself, and like taking notes by hand can be a lot better for studying, depending on who you are. And like if you're on a laptop like me in a like giant lecture hall, you'll get distracted very easily and somehow end up on ESPN 5 seconds into class, or see like 50 people in front of you on YouTube or shopping or on Amazon or something. Like, I don't know, you just got to know yourself and figure out what the best way to do it is.
Yeah.
There was this one girl in my class who was constantly online shopping, and I'd get so distracted, and I'd look at things, and I'm like, that's a good color. I like that shirt. And I just noticed myself just like watching her shop of like, oh, I should get that. That looks cool. Like,
Isn't there,
and it's
that's
horrible.
called something, isn't it? What is that? Like, there's a, like, an
It's
actual,
probably
like,
a term for it.
yeah, because I remember, I don't know which class, but they said, like, if the person in front of you is, like, on YouTube, like, you're more inclined to be on YouTube also because you see someone else, like, not doing work. And obviously that's much more appealing than writing down notes in class.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's called.
Well,
But
yeah.
yeah.
Like Ross, know your study habits. Some classes are also recorded too. So if you do handwrite notes or you miss something, that's kind of nice to know that you can go back and listen. I don't know if anyone's ever done that. I actually have done that, but I feel like there is a benefit with computers. It is faster, and if it's not a recorded class, you can record, but you have to know your professor if they allow it or if they don't allow it.
Yeah.
But nowadays with technologies, I feel like even like speech to text, if you're recording the lecture or text to, was it speech? Yeah, speech to text. Sorry, I said it backwards.
Yeah.
I thought I said it backwards. I usually do that. But like if your professor's talking, you can record it and it can go right into your notes, whether that's exactly what you want, but there's a lot of features you could use.
Dangerous. That
Yeah.
sounds like like UD capture. That's something that's important.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
the name.
I was gonna say,
UD
because
capture.
Sophie mentioned
remember.
like some professors record class. So
Mhm.
I think there's somewhere on Canvas that will show UD capture links if your class is recorded. Some professors will have it where it's just like the PowerPoint. I know a couple of classes I took, like if it was like a Blackboard, they'd just show the front of the class and you can like write stuff down the Blackboard also. I never really used it to go like to class during the time, but during finals week and stuff when you're preparing for exams, like it was good to like go back, kind of put it on 1.5 speed so it goes a little faster and then just go through your notes that way. But I kind of would do that back at home, not.
I think I'm the only insane person that doesn't ever watch things on like 1.5 speed. I just like watch normal speed.
Oh, it's too long.
Well, you have to know your
I
study
double
habits.
speed it if possible.
No, I'm just talking about anything in general.
Well, I feel like some people just don't process information that fast,
That quickly,
too.
yeah.
So you just have to know yourself, which is the whole part of college, is learning out who you are, figuring yourself out, which even by the end of college you might not do, but you have a better idea than when you first came in.
Or Jay is yelling at you over text on a Tuesday to come hang out with him, and you have to double speed everything so that you get over there.
Almost positive that has never happened, but okay.
That's a lie.
Anyways, moving on.
Everyone's been subjected to that here, Jalen.
Whatever. You guys loved it. Just saying. So we were saying before that a lot of these things that your professors will tell you at some point during the class, Sylly Week, which is not just for drinking, which I found out like senior year. Basically, professors will go do a breakdown of like the entire class structure and what you're going to be doing during the semester, what you're going to be learning, class policies, attendance, tests, whatever. One thing I also actually have noticed is that like when you usually syllabus week, you'll have the first 1-2 classes, like you'll do your icebreakers, then you'll go over the syllabus, you'll get out 15 minutes early, and it's really nice. But then you start to get older and they say, here's the syllabus, read it over, let's start the first lecture. And I'm like, whoa,
yeah,
that's not how it works.
Jay's like, obviously you don't know the ruals, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Like,
it's like you don't have the syllabus.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's not how it works. But there are parts of the syllabus that are very helpful and very important. I know for us, like for Afro, like we'd always look back at the syllabus to see like what was going on and what topics we were going to be discussing. But most of them will have, I like the ones that have the calendar with it just because it's kind of good to mark out what you're going to be doing for the semester. You can always just like look back at it, see when your tests are, or homeworks. They're also usually available on Canvas if your professor knows how to use technology.
yeah.
But yeah, the syllabus, it's good and it's good. It's annoying. I guess you should know it.
It's basically Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, it's just basically the syllabus is just a breakdown of the class rules and class assignments. I had never heard the word syllabus before college, and I was like, a syllabus? What?
Me
what?
neither.
Yeah.
What is that? And then people call it Silly Week, and I was like, what is going on? But it's just, it's really just the class rules and outlines that when you need to, you should go back and check, because some professors are like, won't tell you the information because it's in the syllabus. So,
And then
Yeah.
why your midterm and final is going to be like 75% of your grade.
right.
Oh,
So
God.
it's real important.
Yeah.
One of my favorite Silly Week stories was I went to Spanish 105, like the basic, like first level Spanish we all have to take. My TA clearly was not a native speaker. Whatever, she's learning. More power to you. And she had us each pick a section of the syllabus to read. And for a whole 50 minutes, we read the syllabus in English. And everyone was kind of looking at each other like, is this bitch for real? Like, are we like, okay. And then the next person was like, in this class, we will have 3 grading sections. And it's like, why are we doing this? Just let me leave. Like, it was the funniest syllabus situation I've ever been in.
Yeah. I think your
I feel like-
intro.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jay.
I feel like your intro classes will be the ones that you will spend a day or two going over your syllabus.
Probably.
And then once you start to go higher up in your levels, like you'll start seeing that professors don't really. I literally, there was one class last semester I was there. I didn't even get a syllabus. Like it was just
Yeah.
straight into lecture, and then you'll figure out stuff as you go. And I was like, okay, sounds good.
Or I'd have professors who like say like, okay, here's 5 minutes of like, here's the main thing, here are the textbooks you need, read the syllabus for the rest. But like they'd at least give you a little intro, but always read the syllabus, or at least breeze through it so you know what's going on, because it makes it so much easier.
I was just gonna say the best and the worst is when there's positive and negatives. It's when the professor goes through it step by step. It's like, this is the most boring thing ever. But probably if some professors didn't do that, I would never go through it on my own. So it's
Yeah.
boring, but it's class easy, but there's
Yeah.
trade-offs. So
And the professors, I feel like that goes step by step. Those are the classes that you should really be looking at the syllabus. Like they're
Yeah.
going to be following that thing like it's the Bible. So
Right,
like
Yeah.
you should really be paying attention if they're going to be just basically going over the syllabus for 2 classes, because that's probably important.
Yeah.
Yeah, half the time there's basically some that are like that, and then some that'll just do whatever the hell they want and just like change week by week. So you never know.
I know that was kind of annoying when they would give out a syllabus and then have a whole schedule, and it's like, well, we're going to do this day instead, and then we're going to change this, and your exam's going to be pushed up 2 weeks. And I'm like, okay, then what was the point of giving us this?
Or like they'd be sick one day and the
everything
entire thing shifts. And I was like,
changes.
I already made my calendar. Like, I can't deal with this.
Everything changes.
But the one thing that professors will tell you, no matter what you are, is every single very expensive textbook that you have to buy. And like, it is hundreds of dollars, and they tell you to go to this place and that place. Afro was the king of this.
And they will
We had
usually
to
tell
buy,
that
what,
they
7
usually tell
books?
you to buy their own book also.
That's the worst.
Yes, the books that they write. We had to buy a book for Afro that hadn't come out yet. He's like, when it comes out, buy it. I was like, dude, come on. Like,
gotta get those sales somehow.
He was literally like, I haven't finished writing it yet, but when it comes out, buy it. I'm like, I'm not buying any of your books.
he's like,
dude.
but it's required for class. I'm like, it's gonna come out after the class. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I think the worst was freshman year calc. I remember I was told that I should buy this calc textbook. It was like $240 something, and I'm going to need it for Calc 1, Calc 2, and Calc 3. And I was like, okay, like $80 per semester for a textbook that I'm actually going to use. Like, that's not bad. I think it's still in the casing, like that it came in. I don't think it was ever,
Yeah.
and not because I didn't want it, like, we just never used it. We never looked at it. So I'm like, I just feel like I've wasted so much money on textbooks that like I didn't need them, which was annoying. But you can also rent your textbooks so that it's cheaper. They have used textbooks so that you don't have to pay for full price for a new one. I think that's a better bet than just because my first
Definitely.
semester, I just literally just purchased every new textbook that I
Yep.
needed back in like July when it showed up.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I've purchased some textbooks because my professors will say, "Oh, you're going to go back into this one." I think I may have gone back into one textbook since graduating, and that's really just a curriculum book for teachers. So that one was kind of important. Otherwise, I never have gone back in. My best piece of advice would be to try to find a Facebook group that's like used in rentable textbooks from other people, because your other peers will sell it to you for cheaper because they just want to get rid of it.
yeah,
Yeah.
I would
try to find that first.
Yeah, after like my first year, I don't think I ever looked at the bookstore to buy a book unless it was by the professor, because you can basically find it cheaper somewhere else.
But also at the same time, just make sure you don't necessarily buy it way beforehand, because they could completely switch up things, or they could be coming out with a new book. So you don't necessarily know what to expect and don't want to waste money on stuff that could be completely wrong.
Yeah, sometimes
and-
they switch the generation on you the day of, so like the first day of class. They'd be like, "Oh, sorry," or not the generation, the edition. I got this edition instead. I wrote the wrong one. You're like, seriously? I just bought
Yeah.
this one.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I remember I had one class, I don't remember this professor's name. He's crazy. But it was a race law class, and it was a fascinating class. But he made us buy a $250 case book, and it pretty much just had like cases and cases in it and no other information. And I was like, I could go on Google and read the exact same case and you wouldn't know. But it was $250. And I was like, what do I do with this now? Like, this is useless. They're like, we'll buy it back for $40. I was like, you gotta be kidding me.
Oh, that was my favorite. You use
Yes.
a book for literally a semester, and somehow the price of the book goes down 85%.
It
Yeah, it's like-
appreciates more
it's
than
like-
a car.
I
Like,
was just gonna give a much worse comparison, but like when you buy a game from GameStop for like $60 and then you try to say return it like the next day and you'll get like 25 cents.
Right. That's
yeah,
that's
it's
what
so
they
ridiculous. Yeah, and
something-
it'd be laughable. Like, oh yeah, you're buying or you're selling back 10 books. Great. Here's $12.75.
Yeah.
So, fantastic. I'll go get a coffee at the Starbucks that's conveniently in the bookstore. Like,
Which is also overpriced, but
Back to the point of almost every episode where Delaware loves to rob you.
Not the bars.
Not the
Not the bars. That's the only thing that's cheap.
Yeah, I think that's just like our love for bars instead of for classes.
The only books I would definitely purchase is the ones that the professors write, because usually those books,
They'll
that the
use
professors-
those.
if they wrote it, they know it like the back of their hand, and they want you to know it the same way they do,
Yeah.
even if it's ridiculous. So
Yeah. Something that Sophie had said before we started recording that I didn't know was that you can return textbooks within the first week of classes.
I believe it's by
2
the
weeks.
ad drop period.
2 weeks.
So whenever the
Okay,
ad
yeah.
drop
So
period
that's
ends,
the
the
last
last
2
day,
weeks.
then you cannot.
That's and like for full refund, so you won't get ripped off. Because
Yeah.
like by the time you should be able to know if you're going to use it or not. Like if you bought it already, you should know by that time, because the professor should go over it. But also there are professors that say you need to buy this textbook. They'll say you need it, you need it, you need it for the entire semester. They do yet never use it.
and a
But-
great trick is online textbooks. Look
Yeah.
for online like Kindle books. Those are like dirt cheap, and that's the best way to go. I know people who hate online, but
That just made me think that towards the end of, I think it was like junior year or maybe just senior year, they started to make you like automatically buy the online textbooks sometimes on
Yes.
Canvas,
Yes.
which was like
Yes.
ridiculous. You didn't even get the option of like trying to find another way to buy them or something. Like they
Yeah.
would just automatically be bought on your account.
Yeah, my Spanish class, you could not take the class if you did not buy the textbook through the university, which was really annoying. Because I knew that I could find it somewhere cheaper, but that's not an option.
Yeah, at least
scamming
you
with
have,
Delaware.
at least you have till that ad drop period too, because if you realize you don't like that class, you
Yeah,
drop the class. But
right.
in other cases, it's like, oh well, it is what it is. You can't change it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of SOL.
Yep. But we've all gone through it. So you'll make it
Somehow, eventually.
somehow, some way. We all.
You'll lose a lot of money along the way, but
it's a learning experience. Losing money, you lose money and you learn. I'm gonna
Make some
quote
great
that.
memories.
Jalen Serency, May 4th, 9:02 p.m.
That'll be the description for the episode.
I think it's also important that there is now only one bookstore that you can buy textbooks from on campus.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
No more Lieberman's.
Mm-hmm. Which is so sad.
I always went to Lieberman's. That was my number one place.
Yeah, me
That's where
too.
I went.
I
Yeah.
never went there. I always
Really?
thought it was a ripoff. I don't know why, but I was like, I have to go to the bookstore, so I'd go to the bookstore, and then I think I went there. Actually, I do think I went there one time. I was like, oh, this is cheaper. I
Isn't
feel like an idiot.
Isn't the bookstore the ripoff?
Yes. And in my mind, I was like, no, I have to be.
Sophie's like some
brand.
company outside of Delaware is trying to rob me of my money
Yeah.
as she pays her
Sometimes I follow
tuition
the
bill.
rules too much.
So back onto Delaware taking your money from you. Obviously, they kept the bookstore that charges more money
Right.
for
Yeah.
books and
Better.
clothes and everything.
They have gotten better over the years. I know my sister is 3 years older than me, and Ross has a brother who's also the same age as my sister, 3 years older. And the textbooks used to be like astronomically priced, and Amazon would be so much cheaper, but they've actually lowered their prices. My mom used to make like the whole Excel spreadsheet, so totally they've gotten better. So I'm hopeful they'll get better in the future.
Yeah,
but
that's what I used to do. Would be like have 9 different windows open, like Amazon, eBay, Owl Books. I don't even know what that is, but like wherever I could find the cheapest book is where I'm going to buy it from.
eBay's a great place. I think it's underrated, like for
Yeah.
textbooks.
They're
Also, fun fact, if you are very proactive, the library actually has lots of textbooks that are like just like library books that you can rent and like take out of the library. So if you're quick, you can get some of those books. Some also not just textbooks, like sometimes you have to have books to just like read for class. Take it out of the library, don't buy it. That's the way to do it.
Never known that.
Yeah, I
cheap.
never
I
tried
worked
that.
at the library and didn't know that.
Yeah, they don't have a lot. It's like we have like 3 of this book, and they're usually gone if you ask. But like, you might be lucky if you're so.
Yeah, I've never actually taken a book out from the library, so I have no idea the process on that either. But
Yeah, again,
It's probably
I worked at the library. I have no idea how to take a book out.
you probably just need your student ID.
I would assume so.
You do. I used to take books out all the time for classes.
Oh, sorry. I just had a thought when we were talking about necessities. Bring your student ID. Sometimes you need that for tests too.
Yes.
I don't know how we
That's
didn't
not
think of
something I thought
that. Yes.
about.
I've
It's
seen
not something I
people
thought about
sent
till now,
away. Like sent
Yeah.
away
Yes.
from tests because they don't have their ID. And they're like, I can show you like my driver's license. They're like,
That
not your
doesn't
student
work.
ID.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your
Yeah,
driver
sometimes you need
license
the
does not
number.
work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the number, and then some professors are like, no, I need to make sure it's your face, and it has to be you. So have that on you at all costs. Buy one of those phone wallets.
Yeah, I
Do
think
it.
your ID. You just need your ID for
Everything.
just like walking. If you wake up, you need your ID.
Pretty much.
Like you just need it to get into everything, everywhere. You'll need it. You'll use it like at least once a day,
Yeah.
at least 5 times a day. To be honest, like
Yeah.
you need it all the time. So like, just hold on to it. They give out those like the phone wallet case things that you were saying. Like you can get one for free at some syllabus week freshman. I don't know.
Yeah, you'll see
Like,
99% of the people at school using those phone wallets.
Yeah, walk
if-
through Tremont, walk on the
yeah,
green, and you'll get one
exactly.
for free.
You will find one for free. Don't buy it.
Go to Five and Dime if you really need to. It's like $1.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're 99
one.
cents at 5
Yeah.
a dime.
Pick
Yeah.
a pretty one, you'll be happy. Like you said.
Just don't go to the bookstore. It'll probably be like $10.
Yeah.
Well, because then they put UD on it and then automatically it's gold.
It's
Like,
all good, yeah. I
I
think
swear,
I
like a single shirt at the bookstore is like $100. Like it's like something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
It's
will never
ridiculous.
forget. One of my hoodies that I got from Delaware, like from the bookstore. I don't know, it was like $70 or $80. It's like a hoodie that I still wear today. I love that hoodie. If I remember
Mhm.
going back into the bookstore, looking at the clearance section, and that same hoodie was $15, and I was like, I've been fooled. I've been played.
Yeah,
like
they got you.
literally.
They got
they
you.
got me. They got me.
Got.
And it
Have
worked.
you
And it's
ever-
like,
Sorry.
and
I was
it's
gonna say,
like,
if you ever want to buy something from the bookstore, wait till your birthday. You get a 25% discount on your birthday. You get one
Wait,
purchase
really?
a year. That is it.
How do you know all
Just
these
one
things?
huge like
Because
haul of all your
I've done
UP
it
stuff.
before.
I mean, it's not a
waited
bad
for
idea.
sweatshirt. It's 25%. They don't
I
really go
like I
out.
literally
They're
didn't know
online.
that. Huh.
Your one purchase for the year from the bookstore of clothing is on your birthday.
I was gonna say, can you use it on books?
I don't think so. Well, if your
Probably not.
birthday is in like March or
August,
I don't know what. So your birthday's in
or-
December when we're not, or January. Yeah, we're on break.
We're just picking every month.
January, you're middle of winter break and you're not taking any classes. You can't use it on books. Sorry. Teacher brain over here.
But yeah, basically, don't shop at the bookstore. That's not true though. I got some great stuff from the bookstore.
Shop at the clearance rack at the bookstore.
Yes.
I didn't even know there was a clearance rack, but there's probably like 2 things hanging on there.
Yeah.
It's like back in the corner where no one's
Yeah.
gonna actually
Where no-
look. Like it's treacherous to get back there.
Yeah. I mean, I guess one thing to say about textbooks is the bookstore, if you go to get your textbooks, whether you order them or not, you can go upstairs and look for your textbook. They have a bunch of the classes. I don't think it's all classes, but definitely like the most popular ones. They have the textbooks upstairs just like scattered in rows. And then if you also order your textbook, you can go upstairs in the bookstore and pick them up. The line's ridiculously long at the beginning of the semester, but yeah,
It's horrible, but you can get them shipped to you.
yes,
That's always a good thing.
also
Get
that.
your textbook shipped to you.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you can get your textbook shipped. Yeah, I know. I saw kind of unrelated, but pertaining to the bookstore, I